So a few days ago, I released a video on the investigation into the allegations against the late Ravi Zacharias. And in that video, I detailed what there was specifically in the report. And that video got a lot of views and it got a lot of comments. And so one of the things I want to do here in this video is respond to a number of the comments that have very similar themes. And so I want to start with a comment from Ramya, and Ramya says this: why do Christian institutions, churches, Christians endlessly discuss the so-called faults of a fellow Christian leader? If you truly care about a brother you think has fallen, you speak to them in the person and correct them, pray for them, support them, and not discuss the issues in public platforms, making a spectacle of it. Now, this specifically is a very important comment to discuss because a lot of people are saying this. Why would somebody on your channel, now particularly here on my channel with Soulfire 209, I want to offer gospel hope for a porn-filled world, talk a lot about issues of sexual brokenness, how we can apply the gospel to areas of sexual sin, things like pornography addiction. So something like this story with Ravi Zacharias and the allegations, in particular the behavior that he was engaged in using and abusing a multitude of victims. And that is exactly why this is something that we must talk about as the church. You see, here this comment, it says, why would we talk about his faults? Well, we have to understand that his faults involve victims strewn across multiple continents. This is not something that you privately talk to a brother about. This is something that the church as a whole must address and talk about. We cannot be silent about it. The victims must know that we in the church are not okay with allowing men of prominence, men of power, wealth, and fame to victimize and abuse those who are vulnerable. Potential victims as well must learn the signs of grooming behavior. What are some of the tactics that a master liar and manipulator like Ravi Zacharias uses to take advantage of their victims? And people like me who are in full-time ministry have to understand, we need to talk about what is the lure of power and wealth and fame and Christian celebrity. Are these the types of things that we want to strive for? Do we want to pursue that fame and power and prestige? See, I believe the church has to talk about this. This story is all over the secular news. So how can the church not address it and offer some gospel hope and some biblical counsel and some biblical teaching and authority into something like this that is so devastating, both to the victims, for those of us who trusted in Ravi and listened to his message? This is something we can't shy away from. We need to be willing to talk about. Next comment. Okay, Artemis says, how do I know that you do not have a secret sinful lifestyle? What would we learn about you if we had access to your private life? Now, Artemis, I think this is the correct answer and the correct response. What you are saying is, the only thing you know about me is what I am putting on these polished, edited, rehearsed videos up on YouTube. In other words, you know nothing about my private life, and do I have some secret battle with sin? And I think this is one of the best takeaways from the Ravi situation. I take no offense at you accusing me or challenging me in this area because you are exactly right. This is what we must consider the next time we put a popular evangelist, a popular preacher or teacher. Maybe it's a famous YouTuber. My YouTube channel is extremely small, but if it rises in popularity, if it rises in subscribers and things like that, are you going to put me or somebody else or a popular worship leader on a pedestal and think that we are given the benefit of the doubt if there are extremely shady behavior or questionable things in our life? And that's one of the takeaways we have from Ravi's story as you read the reporting, is you say, how did all of this behavior, investing in spas, being alone with women in massage rooms, having alone time across continents, spending weeks alone in Asia, how did all of those things move away from some accountability partners, some loving partners who would have said to him, I need to challenge you on this. What you are doing is not correct. So Artemis, I'm with you. I think your comment is right on. All of us in the church, in the local body of believers, not talking heads on YouTube, not famous preachers and evangelists, the local body, the small group accountability, the one-to-one discipleship, the pastoral ministry. This is where the rubber meets the road in the church. This celebrity culture, it's got to stop. That's what Christian community ultimately is really about. So Artemis, great challenge. What do you know about my personal and private life? Okay, John Matthews says, ask Margie Zacharias to bow out from the NDA that's holding back Lori Ann Thompson. Why is she still sitting on it? Matthew, I completely agree. That's one of the things you see both in RZIM's statement and the Christianity Today article. Now, I can link these two things in the description here. Both of them are questioning, why would you not release the Thompsons from the non-disclosure agreement, which is preventing them from sharing their story? The world has not heard Lori Ann Thompson's story. If you're not familiar with her, that was one of the first public accusations against Ravi back in 2017 that got eventually ended up in a court battle and a settlement. Hence, it got the non-disclosure agreement. But at this point, RZIM has said they've thought much differently about those accusations now that this investigation is complete. And so it is the estate of Ravi that needs to actually lift the Thompsons out of that NDA. Hopefully this will eventually happen. Obviously, with a lot going on with this investigation just coming out, that may take some time. But Matthew, I'm with you. I hope that they will do that. Harry Hudson says, the profits you made off this video should be given to the victims of Ravi Zacharias. If you don't, then you're no better than a snake oil salesman who profits off the sin and pain of others. Do the right thing. Okay, Harry, I think this is a great point, and I would challenge everyone who is watching this video. Is there a local nonprofit that is working to protect the vulnerable abuse victims? So for example, in my area, I love Rivers of Justice. That's the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville area in South Carolina. Rivers of Justice exists to educate and prevent domestic minor sex trafficking. And here in my area, I support them monthly. Let me challenge you to do the same. riversofjustice.org. To this idea of me being a snake oil salesman, and let me just say this, YouTube, given the nature of my channel, Gospel Hope for a Porn-Filled World, talk about a lot of sensitive topics. YouTube slaps me with the limited ad revenue. So what that means, here, I'll post a screenshot right here. Here on this video, 17,000 views and about 67 cents in income. So I'm not making a lot off of this snake oil. The point here for me in my influence on this channel is to help people have gospel hope, sexual addiction, pornography addiction. These are huge issues in the church. These are things that lead to some of these major scandals that we see. People will often jump from pornography addiction to abusing an actual victim. And so the purpose of this channel and the ministry that I have here on YouTube is to extend that reach, to offer gospel hope. One of the cool things about YouTube is that offering some of these tips and techniques, some of the reviews that I do for various products or books, it actually has global reach. So about 50% of my views are outside of the United States. So I think that's one of the cool things about having a YouTube channel, being able to offer that gospel hope that actually can spread around the world. So hope that's helpful, Harry. Harry, definitely donate to your local nonprofit, riversofjustice.org. I'm a big fan. And ultimately, if you want to make money on YouTube, I would recommend you do tech reviews or funny cat videos. You'll get a lot better traction than gospel hope for a porn-filled world. Next comment is from Jouster. Jouster says, but why did this all come out after his death though? Now, this is the type of comment that I have seen all over the place. This is my third video on Ravi Zacharias, and people keep posting, why did this only all come out after his death? Now, anybody who is saying this, you have not fully watched the videos, you have not read the investigative report, you have not read any of the Christianity Today journalistic articles that they have put forth. These allegations go well back to 2003 with Ravi investing in spas all the way back in 2003, his business partner in that early spa having some question marks about his behavior. The first spa employee in 2009 was actually fired when she brought an allegation to light. So the Thompsons, as well, as I've already mentioned, in 2017. This is not just coming up after his death, but the reason it is now public and we're hearing about all this story is that during his funeral, when a number of prominent Christian leaders were saying wonderful things about Ravi Zacharias and praising the work that he has done, one of his victims saw the funeral and she said, surely there are other victims like me, and she decided to go public. She brought the first allegation after his death that sparked the snowball, and RZIM said, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, we're gonna hire our own investigative team, and I believe the ultimate reason they hired that team is they were hopeful, as I think we all were, that they would actually clear Ravi's name. And unfortunately, their investigation unearthed what we see now, the results of this report of victims spread all across the world. And they had to issue a preliminary statement back in December before they ultimately released the entire investigation. So it is devastating news, but if you keep posting this, why did this happen? I can't believe this has happened. Then I really want to challenge you, read the actual investigation that has the details. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you have more questions you want me to cover on this topic, it is an extremely sad day for the victims, those who were used and abused. We want to pray for them. And my heart is that we as the church will learn from this. We will understand what are the warning signs that we can see in a brother or sister who is going astray. We can help potential victims to understand the potential grooming behavior that they might see at a prominent leader, or just as the comment from Artemis, we would be able to look each other in the face and say, how do I know that you don't have a secret life of sin? Not to question each other's integrity, but for there to be actual accountability where we can lovingly come alongside of one another. Let's take people off the celebrity Christian pedestal and let's understand that the reality of sin the lure of power and fame and wealth. These are huge issues in our hearts and in our lives. And ultimately, I believe that there is gospel hope for a broken world. Let's hope that we can come around these victims, offer them the love of Christ, that we as a church can learn from this and say, we never want to see this happen again. Well, this is Jason for Soulfire. Here on this channel, we want to offer gospel hope for a porn-filled world, trying to remind you sexual integrity is possible. It is not easy, but it is possible. Like this video if it's helpful, subscribe if you want to see more content. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section, and I'll catch you in the next one.